So we need to, as an industry, we need to become better and better at having this conversation around budget. And the better we can do that, the more we can do it tactfully, the way we can do it with kindness and truth, the better we're going to be able to serve.
Welcome to the Sales Made Simple podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping overwhelmed outdoor living professionals, landscapers, and hardscapers just like you increase your closing rate to over 75% without doubling your workload so you can build a seven-figure business that doesn't need you. I'm your host, Joshua Gillow. Let's dig in.
Hey everybody, Jon Valenta here at the Sales Made Simple podcast. I am with General Paving Stones, and I'm a guest here with Joshua Gillow, just doing the introduction today. And I wanted to go right into a story that I had happen last week, going through the sales process and doing everything I can to pre-qualify and save time. That way I can concentrate my time on what's important, whether it's aspects of the business or taking time off from the business. But I really try to follow the sales process, but once in a while I give in and I don't, or I skip a step, and it always ends up blowing up in the end. So I had a really good referral from a really good friend, and it was, hey, this guy is ready to go. He just put the pool in. He needs retaining wall. He needs a multi-level patio. He needs walkways, low voltage lighting. His yard's a mess. He wants to be able to use it this summer. He's ready to go. Come on, let's go. So I did. And we got there, and yeah, the yard is a mud pit, pool's in the ground, and it's a big slope, and he's got no way to get into the backyard, and he's got, kids and grandkids, and everybody wants to use this pool. So I just start asking the usual questions, because I didn't get to talk to him on the phone. It was a friend, and he was like, come on over. Okay, let's go. And asking him about how they're using the space and who's going to use it and how many people and what inspired them and all the good questions. And everything's going great. And I asked the budget question. I just said to him and his wife were out there. How much were you guys planning to invest in this project? And he said, just straight up, looked me right in the eyes and says, I got to be south of 20,000. And the whole time I'm looking at the project and asking him questions, and I'm looking around and I'm just adding this all up in my head. Retaining wall, multi-level patio, stairs, walkways, low voltage lighting. And then he says he can't spend more than 20,000. And I'm like, this is at least 60, probably closer to 80. So that's what I just said to him. I said, you're looking at 3 to 4 times that. And he said, thank you. Thank you for telling me what this was going to cost, because now I know I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to have to get creative, and I'm going to get my tractor out here, and I'm just going to grade this slope and seed it. And we're just going to have to deal with it. And we're not going to have the multi-level patio and the retaining wall and the walkways and low voltage lighting. I'm just going to regrade and seed my lawn. And thank you for telling me that this is well beyond what I can spend. And now I'm not going to waste your time or anyone else's time. And I'm going to just do what I can myself with my backyard.
Yeah.
So it wasn't terrible. I didn't do a 3D design. I didn't put anything in writing. It probably took about the typical 2 hours between driving there and talking to them, but all because I got excited that I had a good lead who was excited and went out there without having a conversation, asking questions, and pre-qualifying.
Yep.
So It's a win that I didn't do all the other extra work, design and written proposal. It's a win that I learned again that I need to stick to my process no matter who it is.
Yeah.
And just a good reminder that, hey, I could have saved myself 2 hours, and, no matter how good we are, we all make mistakes. And this is just another good learning experience.
Yeah, man. I mean, if I could write a whole book just on that alone, how many times I did exactly that, right? It's like they got excited about it. They're passionate about the project. Let me just get out there and talk to them. This is going to be great. Let's not muck it up with some kind of budget conversation because I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid they're going to say no, or I'm going to be guessing wrong. So let's just go out and figure it out as we go, and then get there and find out that Or this is even worse, dude. There's days I wouldn't even talk about budget until a design came out. That was the problem, right? The design came out and all of a sudden it was like $100,000 and they had 20. But I'm like, this is what you told me you wanted. I was so scared of that budget conversation that I avoided it like anything else. Yeah, so many times, John, I did exactly that. Like I'm not taking client for granted, but thinking that, you know what, if I could just show them the ideas, that the budget will be what it is, because I truly didn't know what it was going to be. So I would rather almost not have the conversation than have it. And I realized that is one gigantic pitfall coming. Like we talk about objections in sales. That's one huge objection that needs to be managed very early. And if we do that with white gloves early in the process, we don't run into that later, right? When it comes to the budget, it's a much less of a conversation stopper because we've already had that conversation. We've learned how to lead with that conversation, not necessarily early in your sales process, but you've had it already before you've gone out there. Because once we level that field out and get an idea of what they're willing to invest in a project, we can finally start creating solutions around that. But if it's unreasonable and we don't know that until after hours and hours and hours invested in the project and the client, all to find out they never had the budget to begin with, what are we doing? Are we just trying to stay busy? Is busy equal success? And the busier we are, the better we feel about ourselves, but the bank account doesn't show it? I mean, seriously, at the end of the day, assumption is the number one killer in sales when you assume things. You know, the first story in the book, if you read it, it's about the conversation around, or the situation where I went to a project and took Joseph, my new designer, down, and we, it's an hour and a half or so away from the office. It was a referral. I did the exact same thing you just got done talking about. There's a referral from a client. We just finished a big project. It was, I don't know, north of $200,000 for this project back in the day. That was a big project. Went down to meet with the customer and I'm like, good, this is great. I'm like, watch this. You know, Joseph, you're new to the team. I'm going to show you how to close a project. You're going to watch the masterwork, right? I'm like, this is a referral. They obviously have the budget. We've worked on a bunch of other properties in this development. I skipped the entire pre-qualification process, entire thing, and went down there and basically got kicked in the nuts. Right? If you want the whole story, you got to read it in the book. It's the first story, but it got kicked in the nuts. And I was like, I walked out like a dog that just lost a fight. And I was like, man, I look like an idiot because I thought for sure this was going to be a shoe-in. We never talked about a design fee involved at the time to the homeowner, and I didn't have both decision makers, like just down the list. Everything was done with no thinking, no purposefulness. It was just, this is how we do it. This is going to be easy. And we got the hard no from the husband. And then I drove back home and I said, I'm never doing that again. And that's what was part of this entire genesis of Yes Expresses, because I was getting sick and tired of that. And then I started talking to other contractors and they were sick and tired of it too. I said, let's try to fix that. Let's try to fix this problem so that we're not wasting our most precious asset, our time, with people who really have no way of saying yes to us. They're dreamers. They're dreamers, and they need 3 different companies to come out and look at stuff and give them a bunch of free information for them to consider. Like we're supposed to kiss the ring. Like, that's not how this works. So I appreciate you sharing that story because it is so true to how most of this works. And when we build the chops to be able to have the conversation around budget, it's something that can be learned. It's something I was so scared of because I was so afraid of having that conversation with clients. And what would they say? What if I messed up? What if they told me no? What if they slammed the door in my face? Like all of that rejection, all that kind of stuff that comes with talking about money, all that money mindset come raring and raging into my brain. And I'm like, but what if that become my favorite thing to talk about? Budget with customers. And what if I learned how to have that conversation with them? How would that change? I just started asking better questions. How would that change the way I address them and work? And where in my sales process would be the best time to do that? Is it right on the first phone call? Is it after the design is done? Is it somewhere in the middle? Where's the most ideal location for that to be? And I set forth on a journey to figure that out. And that's why I wrote the book, is in order to help you guys do that as well. That's why the 5 pillars of prequalification are in the book and tells you exactly when to do it and how to do it, all that kind of stuff. But this is such an important topic, talking about budget. I know this year, John, you've done a lot of shifting in your sales process, and you've done a lot more prequalifying on the phone. Am I right with that?
Absolutely. It used to be, like you said, running out there and not ever dare bring up the word budget or how much they hope to invest in the project. We try to use that word invest now because it's an investment, and it has nothing to do with how much they want to spend or how much they can afford, even worse. But yeah, it used to do the whole 3D design presentation proposal, and then here's your price. It's $100,000 for this dream project, everything you want. And then, and only then, after investing, who knows, 5, 10 hours into this, to find out that they only have 20,000 to spend and you just presented a $100,000 project. That's never going to happen. So my first shift was talking about the budget at the first consultation face to face. And the reasoning behind that was I got to get that face to face contact. I got to build trust. And then I feel comfortable about talking about budget. And then this year, after reading your book, I'm doing it on the phone. And it's saving me a tremendous amount of time. I would say probably in a typical week, with about 10 phone calls coming in, about 5, I would say half of them get disqualified right on the first phone call. And probably 5 out of 5, I could say, is because of budget. It's very rare that there's a different reason that they get disqualified, whether it's time frame or whatever else. They get disqualified based on budget. And I'm doing that now in the comfort of my office without turning the key and burning 1 gallon of gas. And it's a surprise how often I even just get the word thank you. They're actually thankful that I brought this conversation up about the budget. And when it's a disqualification, it's okay, their budget is 20 and the project is 40. And the fact that I'm able to ask enough questions to get an idea of what type of project and how much it's going to cost over the phone and let them know, hey, you just told me you were hoping to spend between 10 and 20, and this sounds like a $40,000 to $60,000 project. What do you think you want to do? And I'll give them the option. Do you want to make it a smaller project? Do you want us to shrink this down and fit it within your budget? Or do you want to do it in phases? Or one of my favorite questions is doing nothing an option. And it's a surprise how often I get doing nothing is going to be the choice. We're just going to have to put this on hold.
Yeah.
And then I get that thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that this is just something we can't do right now. And we're not going to waste any more time on it. And I said, yeah, that's what I hope to do. If that's, I want to help you. And if that's my way of helping you, then that's success.
It is.
And you never know if they're going to maybe call you in the future, or maybe they're going to tell somebody they know, hey, I called this guy and he couldn't help with our project, but he really was very helpful on the phone. And I would highly recommend him. You never know.
You don't know. But at the end of the day, if our target is to be a trusted advisor and serve our customers, what higher level of kindness and love can you do besides tell the truth like this? Why have them sign up for a design if you charge for designs, which you should, but as you charge for designs and you're like, why have them spend that money for a design all to give them the truth later at a higher rate that they can afford? And the next thing you know, or they want to invest, and the next thing you know, they've felt like they've completely wasted that money and all of that time. That's not kindness. That's not love. That's not building relationships. That's the opposite of that. So we need to, as an industry, we need to become better and better at having this conversation around budget. And the better we can do that, the more we can do it tactfully, the way we can do it with kindness and truth, the better we're going to be able to serve. And those clients know that. You get thank yous. We get thank yous too from customers who are just like, well, I thought we could do this. And based on that budget, we're going to have to save for a little bit longer. Or let's start the design now. We'll have the money in a couple of years. That's fine too. Let's just set an expectation with each other. That's all. That's all this is really about. It's about setting expectations. If their expectation is 20,000 and your expectation in reality for building it is 60, we're either going to wait or simplify the project or not do it at all. Like, what are we going to do to bridge the gap between those two? But let's have that conversation on the phone before you ever drive out there. I mean, especially with $5 and $6+ gasoline right now, right? It's like, it's just, so with that, have you calculated, John, how much time that you've saved? I mean, we talked about, not going out to 5, out of 10 clients coming through, 5 of them get disqualified right off the bat, and we give them the graceful exit and they move on and do whatever they're going to do. Do you have any idea of what that looks like and how much time per week that you're saving with this pre-qualification on the phone?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm tracking it because it's very satisfying to see. It's been a pretty busy spring. I think I would say an average 10 to 12 calls a week, and I would say disqualifying about half. So that's 5 or 6 that I am not going out to visit per week. And you take that now, 2 to 3 hours each, times 5 or 6. I mean, that's a couple of days.
Yeah. A couple per week.
Right.
That's what I love about this. That's like, so I'm asking you, John, my next question is going to be, what are you doing with all your time that you got back that you're not wasting with people that could never say yes to you anyway, or aren't in
Yeah.
alignment?
Yeah. So a couple of things I'm noticing on the business end, I'm able to spend more time with our paying clients, and it's reflecting in our reviews. So I'm really getting these amazing 5-star reviews from our clients this year because I'm giving them more of my attention. I'm
Yeah.
giving them what they deserve, and my time isn't being taken away by all these other people that don't deserve it.
Yeah.
So the business is definitely benefiting. And then you can take some time off, every once in a while, maybe a Friday here and there, make it a 3-day weekend, because I don't have all this running around to do and all these free estimates to do.
Yeah.
I can take a day off here and there.
But I love it, dude. I mean, that's the number one complaint when I polled a ton of people in the industry. Their number one complaint in this industry, it's stress and overwhelm and worry. Like those are all the emotions that are happening, even in the men. They don't admit it often, but that's the truth, right? All the stuff that keeps them up at night or keeps them cracking multiple beers open at night just to cope with everything. Most of that is because of stress and overwhelm, and most of that comes down to yes management. What are they saying yes to? Well, let's look at what your average day looks like. Let's break that down. If I opened up your phone and looked at your calendar or wherever you keep your calendar, what story would it tell me?
Yeah, it would have appointments during the day,
Yeah,
and nothing in the evening and nothing on the weekend except family stuff.
that's right. But it's when you ask somebody that to open their phone or however they keep their calendar, if they keep a calendar, right, or some kind of a way of tracking what's coming next, right, it'll tell you right away whether where they're going. Let's put it that way, right? If they don't keep any, if you have no calendar and you're just kind of winging it each day, going where all the fires are with your fire extinguisher all day long, and you have tons of stress and worry and overwhelm in your life, and it just seems crazy and chaotic, it's because you're not managing your yeses well, and you're certainly not organized that way. If you're going to run a business that's successful, we need to have organization. We need to take chaos and put it into order. And that's what a calendar does. That's what a schedule does. It lays all that out nicely for you. And then when you see that and you see your book, then you're not overbooking yourself. And you're like, why am I driving all the way across town twice this week when I could put those clients next to each other and reschedule them so I could save? So that's how those kinds of efficiencies happen. But that can only happen when you have time to think about those things and have the bandwidth to. So in John's case, if 50% of the people that are calling him that he's weeding them out on the phone, that gives him, a day or two extra a week. That's a week to be able to take the time and to organize a schedule and to think and process of what your best way to do that is, and take time with the family and to organize your life so it's not chaotic. And that schedule, looking at it, might seem like chains. I've heard this many times when I'm coaching guys on this, getting their schedules and their yes management under control. It's like, yeah, but I feel like I've got like handcuffs on. If it's in the calendar, like I feel like I got handcuffed on. I can't be creative. I'm a creative. There's no way I can do that. My mind is too ADHD. There's no way I can put something in a calendar. I lose all my creativity, and that's my passion. That's my identity. That's what I do. And I'm like, okay, but what if having a calendar and having your life organized in that way, especially business, it didn't take away that creativity. It actually enhanced it and empowered it. Because think about it, all the stuff, and whether you're creative or you're more logical or whatever it is, your personality type, there's still certain things that need to get done. And if they're not set in a place where they need to be done, like in a calendar where you can see them when they're going to happen, your mind then in some fashion, the bandwidth is still burning, trying to remember if you did that thing or when does that thing have to happen? Who's involved? When is it due? Like all of that still runs in the background, like an operating system or like an app on your phone, like it's just running in the background. When you start scheduling things, A, things get done if you're disciplined with your schedule, and B, that bandwidth becomes wider because you're not tracking 30 different moving parts. They're all scheduled already for you. Then the creative mind can be even more creative. It's not handcuffs. This is freedom. Taking all those things off because as a creative, that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, man, if I schedule everything, first of all, I don't know if I'm going to be in the mood at that moment to be creative. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to want to talk to that customer in that moment. Like, that's okay, but it has to be done anyway. And when I finally put things in a calendar and organize them, my thoughts, my responsibilities, all of that, the next thing I knew, I had more space in my mind to be creative because it wasn't handcuffs. That was complete freedom for me. It's like, wow. And I see it all the time with guys who don't manage that kind of thing. So when my coach asked me the same question, if I opened your calendar and took a look, what story would it tell me? And when I was looking, I'm like, it would tell you that I am not organized at all, right? I don't have order in what I'm doing here. And when I started to really hone in on that, I'm like, wow, like I schedule my walks with my wife. I schedule time to read scripture. I schedule time to eat breakfast. I schedule my dinner. I schedule my lunch. I schedule everything in my calendar. And it might seem crazy, but what it does is when I'm looking at my calendar, I'm like, I'm not going to forget those things. I'm still going to eat. I'm still going to go for the walk. But it gives me blocks of time. Then I know what blocks I don't have things in, and that's my places to work. And then days ahead, I'll block out things that I'm doing in those days for work. So my mind, when I'm sleeping, is already starting to solve the problem for the next day because it knows what's coming. It's amazing how the mind will work like that when you're sleeping. But if it doesn't know what's coming, it doesn't know what to focus on. So it's really a matter of getting that control back in there. And it comes all the way back to, with the time being saved on the pre-qualification side and opening the time, you finally have time to do that. You finally have time and a way out of the stress and the overwhelm and the worry that comes with business ownership. That's just par for the course. But we're making it worse by not having the time to be able to manage things that are important. All right, I'm off my soapbox now, John. What are you thinking?
Yeah, the calendar thing is great. And your calendar gets opened up when you pre-qualify and you talk about budget. You just get over that fear and talk about the budget on the phone from your office. And like I said about the thank yous, it's actually enjoyable now when you put it nicely. Not what can you afford, but how much were you hoping to invest in this project? Or
Yeah.
have you set aside a budget you were hoping to stay within for this project? And when you get that, I can't spend more than 10,000, and you're, explaining to me this, 500-600 square foot patio with a pavilion and a fire feature, and this is going to be five times more or even more. You get a thank you when you actually tell them that that budget's not going to work for this project. It's actually going to be a lot more. You get to open up your calendar because you didn't run out there and squeal the tires running out the driveway because you just have to go. And no, you don't have to go. You can qualify and you can ask questions. You can be helpful right on the phone in 10, maybe 15 minutes, if that.
Yeah, one of my favorite, two things. First is we always have, our goal is to get the client to give us the number, right? So that's why we ask, what are you hoping to invest in a project like this? And then they, some people will say, 20,000. Most will say, I don't know. That's what I'm calling you for, right? That's it. So as trained salespeople, our goal is to know what the responses are going to be and be ready, like a boxer that's coiled up and ready for the next move. Like, he's already ready. Like that. I don't know. If you had to guess, what do you think it would be? Curious, light tone, upward tonality at the end, and then be silent. And then if they say, I really just don't know, John, like seriously, like it's been 10 years and I'm not sure what this costs. So you go twice. And after that, say, are you open to learning what these things typically cost? The answer is always yes. And then you can go through and actually have that conversation like John's talking about. If they give you a number, like I got a $20,000 budget, my first thought is, what do you hope that'll cover? Are we talking like, I don't know, power washing a driveway? Are we talking like move your house 12 inches to the north? I'm like, it's like this. We talked about a lot of stuff. So like, what do you hope that 20,000 will cover? In silence. That's my favorite question. Silence. Just wait. What do you hope that will cover? And wait, and they will talk. And then you're just writing things down, and you're like, okay, got it. And you're thinking, is there any way that actually makes sense given the situation, what they've already asked for, their hot buttons, all that stuff, what they're looking for. Can we fit all that in that bucket, that $20,000 bucket? The answer is hell no. We need to have that conversation now. If the answer is maybe, let's refine a little bit more. If the answer is yes, let's keep moving on forward then, right? So that's the ultimate goal here. But having that layers of questions that you're prepared with. Because I remember when customers would say stuff like, I got $20,000. I'm like, all right, sweet. And off I went. And I assumed it was for what we just got done talking about. And I found out way too many times that it wasn't just that. There was other things they were hoping at $20,000 they never told me about we're supposed to cover, or that it was much bigger than they told me about, or whatever it might be. And there was a misalignment and an assumption done on both sides. And that costs a lot of time and money, especially for us in business, right? So I actually take an entire section of the book, a 13th chapter, if you will, and have it online. It's all about budget. So if you guys do pick up a copy of the book, at the end, it'll give you a QR. You can go and there's an entire section just on budget and things we just got done talking about. Because when budget becomes your favorite topic to talk about, you know exactly when to bring it up and how to bring it up and how to lead a customer through that conversation, you become more valuable. And the way that you grow a business in any sector, is about being the most valuable person in the market. That's what it is. It's about being the most valuable person. And this is what it's about, bringing the most value that the market offers. So this is part of that, because it's one of the deepest questions that most customers have is, can I afford this guy? Can I afford what I want? And if we can get there with them in a very finessed way and leading them there to have an honest conversation, you become more valuable. And therefore, you stand out. And then you have a higher probability of bringing that project home or getting, like John mentioned, a thank you. Because that's really what we wanted to know. Could we even afford this? And if the answer is no, time to go save some more or sell the house and move to Florida. Who knows? You never know what people are going to do next, right? So, John, is there anything on your mind you want to wrap us up with here with the budget conversation?
Yeah, the budget's been a great question to ask. And, still all these people that just expect you to drop everything and come out there. And it's always one of the first questions when they call is, when can you come out? And I say, we can get to that. If you don't mind, can I ask you a few questions first? Yep. And then I just start, asking the questions and gathering more information. And then they say, okay, when can you come out? I said, if it's okay, I just have a few more questions. We get to that budget question.
Yep.
And that's the biggest one that cancels me going out there. Yep. And it's good because the people are appreciative of it. I learn, more every day what typical homeowners expect projects to cost or think they might cost. Mm-hmm. And it's typically around half. And you get that rare case where someone actually has a realistic budget, and it's such a good feeling. They say, what they were hoping to invest, and it sounds like that project's going to fit within that budget. And then that way you make that appointment and you get out there and it's very stress-free. You already talked about budget. Now you're meeting face to face and you can talk more about the project and more about their family and how they plan to use the project. And when it comes time to talk about the budget again, you're not afraid because you already talked about it before. So there's no surprise unless there's some like major change. And one of the first questions I always ask when I get to the on-site consultation is, has anything changed? Because sometimes something did, and that could change the budget. So then, now we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. But it's all about asking those questions. It's all about being curious. It's all about treating the customer, you're not interrogating a customer. Let's be very clear, right? There's ways that it could feel and sound like an interrogation. That's not our target. Our target here is to ask great questions and let them lead us through this process. We lead them with the questions, but they lead us to where they want to go. And we do that by opening the floor up and leading them with that. Because we never know where a customer got the numbers for this budget they have in their mind, or this investment. You never know where it's coming from. It could be something they saw on ChatGPT or they saw on HGTV. It could be something their great aunt told them about. You never know where these numbers are coming from or what their neighbors spent. You don't know. We need to get to the bottom of that. And it's the kindest thing you can do is to have that conversation, because that's the number one burning question in their mind.
It's typically why they called. They want to know what it's going to cost.
Yep. They're used to going to a car dealership. They can walk around and look at all the windows and see the numbers yep, that's over my budget, or I can afford more than that. How can they do that with outdoor living, right? Everything that we do is custom to every project. So it's not like that, but they need to know what that number is to say, yeah, I can play that game. That's good. Or no way, man, that's way, way, way above where I can be. But we need to get them there. but it needs to be nestled about 3/4 of the way into your conversation, not something you lead with, because you got to build trust and rapport first, or you're going to get a big fat lie for a number. So that's exactly what we train in the academy, is how to do that. It's one of the things that we train, is how to get to the budget, how to have that conversation, how to do it with confidence, how to do it with clarity, how to lead customers there so that it can become the favorite thing you do with your customer when it comes to conversation. So, Jon, I appreciate you coming back on and sharing your stories this week. And listeners, take notes in these podcasts. Start implementing some of this stuff into your business. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. I know this stuff works well. I see it around the country with different teams that I'm blessed to be able to train. And if you're on the fence thinking like, I don't really know if this stuff works, well, you know what? Pick up a copy of the book, read through it, take one thing out of the book and start implementing it. You might be surprised with how fast things will change, and maybe a second, a third, and pretty soon you're not even going to recognize what you used to do, and you're going to be much more efficient in what you are doing as you continue to grow. So, Jon, thanks for coming on, listeners. We'll talk next week.